Alright, I've been fucking around all day. I've been like, I don't know what it is, but just incredibly distracted and anxious for the past couple days. I don't know. It's really annoying cuz I should just be able to focus on this kind of thing. I think we're here. Oh man, this is getting to like, this started like pretty easy to like get through, right? But then now I'm like getting to that point that I felt like I was at closer to the end of Sasan. Closer to the end. Oh, is it on? Closer to the end of surveillance capitalism. Um okay, it's on. Um where I just have these awful days where like I want to go to recall my shit, and then I have like muscle contractions and trauma and shit, like a weird trauma response. But hey, it's still happening, so you can give me some fucking money anytime you want. We're back again with teaching to transgress. Uh well, we were doing this weird dialogue. Gooey, guo. I want to come up with words on my own. Let me just think. God damn. All right. I'm feeling all kinds of fucked up. All right. So we had this dialogue where we kind of came to the conclusion that like you know, one speaking with themselves about, so like you can like abstract ideas and like flesh out these concepts that sort of create this like organized way of thinking about social reality, and maybe even begin to discuss how people can change what they do to help you out. Um, Nothing about getting anything out of anyone necessarily, but it's also just not the most productive way to talk about these things, right? Because it's impossible to understand what you believe is your entitlement to difference without being able to be there to substantiate it yourself. You need different people around, a diverse group of people around to even begin to discuss how people can like change to reap the benefits of this real knowledge that Bell Hooks is trying to pack into this book. Real life-changing stuff that can really improve someone's ability to combat the daily malaise and monotony that the world presents to us in lieu of its precious inner workings. um you know you're not gonna cut the fat, Jack. You just gotta know what to do with it. It's but it's all very personal, isn't it? um we're moving beyond that. Chapter 6 is called Essentialism and Experience, and I think this is where she talks more about Freire's sort of approach here. um we've kind of defined the conflict as this back and forth, these small victories and these big setbacks. um and what we want to address is people's participation in this, right? Because we can't say much else beyond that without indiscriminately marking down these sort of negative prejudice thoughts about people that only spur more non-participation. So you have to at least be able to say you tried, right? But beyond that, once you try, that's where the meat of it is, really. And it's not even just enough to try once, right? So that's where we are with that aspect of the book. It's really impossible to go beyond that without some cooperation from people around. What are these people leveraging against each other? I don't know. Dirt on the ground or something. Maybe a chance to lick a popsicle. Um, it's kind of ridiculous, but I'd hope that people would love to engage in this learning process and the self actualization process myself, because it would make my life a lot easier to organize. Um, Essentialism and experience is the title of the chapter. I'm just gonna go right into it. Let's just knock this one out. I just want to, and I'm going into it with a bad mindset because I don't just want to knock it out. I really do want to get into the book. It's just fuck, dude. Like, you saw how my eyes were sticking last time I was here. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, when I'm trying to like read and then I get to this point where like I'm like trying to read ahead and process what I'm reading and keeping track of a train of thought, like a continuity of like memories and experiences and senses that allow me to parse the deeper meanings embedded embedded interwoven into the bits of knowledge and wisdom in this book, right? So that I can deliver these fantastic conclusions to you because you deserve it. It's I don't think people deserve to be punished as this consequence of this, arbitrary way that we've decided to communicate over long distances. So I'm here to bring it to you. But man, when I'm like there and I'm trying to like read beyond and it's like doing like one of these like one word at a time jigs at me, like what is that? Is that like a tool? Is that like an industrial tool? When it's doing these attacks at me, it's like, man, I really am just being assaulted by an AI controlled, improvised, directed energy weapon, aren't I? A total fucking hack on our infrastructure and engineering. I wonder how this could have been averted. I know. I know. Let's look at why no one understands why this is happening. Let's look at elementary school. Oh, fucking 6 years of fractions? That makes a lot of sense. Oh, let's look at junior high school. Wait a second. Junior high school, you're getting into like entry level algebra. Weren't you doing that in elementary school? Hold on, let's go back to the first year of high school. Hey, hold on, it's the same algebra class. Are you fucking kidding me? No, it's fine. Let's go to a college. Let's see the difference between colleges. Let's go to a public somewhere where people have like free access to this sort of thing. Something that people would actually like really consider public. Let's go to a community college. It's like, oh, you're taking a community college math course. Oh boy. Well, I hope the teacher thinks you can handle it. Like, let's see what you get into. It's like, oh, okay. Now let's see what your buddy at the university down the street's doing. Oh, well, that's yeah, man. You're doing week 4 work in week 1. That's awesome. That's what I like to see. And let's look at the applications that people are coming up with. How many of these people start companies or file for patents after finishing their up-to-date university education? I'd love to see that statistic somewhere. It's nowhere because fuck you. It's not working. Why isn't it working? I will strangle you, motherfucker, if you ask me that again, because I just explained it. So I'm here to give it to you, because you must be stupid, right? No, it's a consequence of this arbitrary way that we've decided to communicate and record these things, okay? If it were up to me, someone closer to you would just be able to work on it with you. But you're here at my video because this is a nightmare. All right, I'm ready. Individual black women engaged in feminist movement writing feminist theory have persisted in our efforts to deconstruct the category woman and argued that gender is not the sole determinant of woman's identity. And we've talked about this before. Woman is just one of these broken pieces of the pizza, isn't it? It's just one thing you can be an expert in, isn't it? One of these social categories that refers to a person. That's what's so important about it, is you say woman, but you can mean that to say any person, really, in a woman's position. If the power dynamic was flipped, you could say woman and mean man in this academia. So it's a way to confuse the public. Just assume they mean person. Just and try to find it in your heart to look at that person kindly. Because they would be helping you if they didn't know they were scared of the boogeyman. That this effort has succeeded can be measured not only by the extent to which feminist scholars have confronted questions of race and racism, but by the emerging scholarship that looks at the intertwining of race and gender. Often, it is forgotten that the hope was not simply that feminist scholars and activists would focus on race and gender, but that they would do so in a manner that would not reinscribe conventional oppressive hierarchies. We got noobs. We're frustrated about noobs overwriting our good work. Particularly, it was seen as crucial to building mass-based feminist movement that theory would not be written in a manner that would further erase and exclude black women and women of color, or worse yet, exclude us in I'm gonna go nuts. Exclude black women and women of color, or worse yet, include us in subordinate positions. You don't want to reinforce these discriminatory ideas, and you don't want to reinscribe these societal dysfunctions, these liberal inefficiencies, these conflicts of interest, whatever it is. You don't want to make the same mistakes of the past, but you also want to get funding from the state and from donors who are making good money to keep your school open so that you can continue to communicate these ideas. So people are going to pay you to communicate more often than they're going to pay you to educate people on how to interact with the present. Which is, that, hey, that's not fair. The present's a game. It's a gamified nonsense world that uses computers and advanced calculating technology to reinforce any sort of injustices that people push back against by deconstructing them using computer-aided models of social rules to create these fantastic exceptions to policy that make it impossible for people to teach as a liberatory act. That's not fair. Yeah, I know. Should have watched my other series when it was going up. Isn't that fun that we get to talk through these awful walkie-talkies? No, but it's so important. It's so important that there is time to teach, but this isn't a book about having time to teach. That's more of a Marxist sort of thing. This is a book about how to use your time to teach, not necessarily how to get more time to teach. Unfortunately, much feminist scholarship dashes these hopes, largely because critics fail to interrogate the location from which they speak, often assuming, as it is now fashionable to do, that there is no need to question whether the perspective from which they write is informed by racist and sexist thinking, specifically as feminists perceive black women and women of color, or you can throw in gamers or jocks or something in there, I guess. I was particularly reminded of this problem within feminist scholarship focusing on race and gender, well, or transgenderism. You could throw transgenderism in there too. I was particularly reminded of this problem within feminist scholarship focusing on race and gender while reading Diana Foos's Essentially Speaking, Feminism, Nature, and Difference. Intrigued by Foos's discussion of current debates about essentialism and her problematizing of the issue, her name is so funny. Saying the possessive form of her name is actually just like a tongue twister. I'm sorry if I'm giggling. It's just what it is, I guess. I was intellectually excited. Throughout much of the book, she offers a brilliant analysis that allows critics to consider the positive possibilities of essentialism. Oh boy. Even as she raises relevant critiques of its limitations. Is that, you know, if you're an expert on it, I suppose it would be the time and the place to discuss that, wouldn't it? I don't know. Any sort of, when you attach essentialism to any sort of authority on what like can be defensively said on like in court and therefore like in mass media, whenever we're like here in that sort of like pipeline of like nonsense that gets like plastered over my fucking ear holes, I get worried, right? Because essentialism, I'm thinking of this, right? I'm thinking of, someone in academia becoming a witness in court against a hypothetical case against like Fox News or Google or something, right? That's what I'm thinking of. That's where my negativity is coming from. Really, I mean, if you think about how to apply essentialism in like on like a person to person basis, like it's kind of cool. It's like you're able to essentially like keep someone lexically tied to the wider content of the subject that they're curious about. For example, while sort of introducing them to these concepts using an epistemology that might work better for them, but maybe not might not be like the most uh open. Sorry, I'm getting assaulted right now. It's just ridiculous. Um you're introducing to them these concepts in a way that explains itself and validates itself according to what may be more appropriate for their like sort of like whole historical, emotional, personality, like psychological situation, their psychological situation. So that later down the line, when they have to learn concepts that incorporate these sort of building blocks, as they're often called, they can be essentially like interested in this difference between how they were taught something and how something like is like in these more advanced models of like whatever like someone's like learning, right? Such that like it's essentialist to say what one had learned before without qualifying it with like this new knowledge. So it's like, I can understand how like essentialism could be like sort of fine, There's like two scenarios here, right? It's like your friend can say like, we're gonna get lunch, right? And you go out and you have your idea of what lunch is, right? Maybe you want to grab like a sandwich or a soup or something, right? And they're like, hey, let's go to lunch. And then you get to the place and it's like it's a cafe and it's like mostly coffee and like pastries and things like that. And it's like, this from the outside of the store, I can tell this isn't what I want. And it's like, no, you walk inside and in the back of the store, there's like a little like deli or something. That's very different, okay, than being like, hey, why don't you come to this party with us, right? And you're like, oh, okay, well, is it a party or is it gonna be like a quiet thing? It's like it's gonna be a part, or it's gonna be like a thing, like with our friends, and we can go like eat and like do whatever you want to do. And you're like, oh, can we go like grab a bite here? Yeah. Can I bring my dog? Yeah. Can Are we gonna be able to eat outside? Because I'm gonna have my dog. Yeah. Um, who's are you gonna take us there? And it's like, yeah, give me a minute to pick you up. And so let's unwind that for a minute. Hey, can you take us there? Yeah. Well, okay. Well, now we're gonna wait like several hours, and then it's gonna be way past the time that you said you wanted to eat, right? So you're gonna call and they're gonna be like, yeah, someone's just getting ready, we're just gonna leave from here in a minute, knowing that you want to actively participate in this social situation. They wear you down that way, so you come over. So now you're like, you sort of have this like latent negativity that already begins to form the box around your thoughts and your creativity. Um, so you show up and you're like, okay, what are we doing? It's like, oh, we're gonna take this over here, and then we're gonna do whatever. So you take this over there, and you start sitting down. You're like, what's going on right now? And it's like slowly this sort of hangout or whatever becomes a complete and utter lie. Doesn't matter whether or not you wanted to like see other people. It doesn't matter whether or not it's like loud, like there's no music playing, no one's like yelling, and maybe there's a couple people there, but it's like it's certainly not what you fucking said it was gonna be. You just sold me your fucking get together so that you could get like fucking bodies there. That's so You're making me uncomfortable. Two very different scenarios, okay? um but you see, like, it's how it can be useful sometimes to like have these like essentialist point of views, right? To introduce people to these concepts and actions that they might take that affect their body based on these concepts. um and so it's, yeah, that's where my negativity is coming from. It's just, that's something I have to get over. In my writing on the subject, The Politics of Radical Black Subjectivity, Postmodern Blackness, and Yearning, though not as specifically focused on essentialism as the Foos discussion, I concentrate on the ways critiques of essentialism have usefully deconstructed the idea of a monolithic homogenous black identity and experience, especially considering colonized people often get hit with the mark of the plural in order to keep them in line. Sort of a popular business tactic at the time. Very primitive. But with historical consequences to today. I also discuss the way a totalitizing critique of subjectivity, essence, identity can seem very threatening to marginalized groups, for whom it has been an active gesture of political resistance to name one's identity as part of a struggle to challenge domination. Essentially speaking, provided me with a critical framework that added to my understanding of essentialism. Yet halfway through the Foos book, I began to feel dismayed. Dude, I'm hungry. Halfway through, that's how you know it was written by a woman. If that that's how you know it was written by a woman. If that book was written by a man, it would have been at the first freaking chapter. Who's this guy? Why is he here? I know that made very little sense. That's a deep cut for my truies who are following me on my journey of being rage baited in academia. No, if you read enough of these books and you like really get into it, you really like, act as this like active participant in the literature who's like trying to integrate this like knowledge into your life without like forgetting everything that you've done, you get rage baited. You get fucking rage baited. This isn't anything. She's gonna rage bait me. Fucking Bell Hooks is gonna rage bait me. I know at some point during the book she's gonna fucking rage bait me. Okay, when it matters. But this person, they've decided to put it halfway through the book, so you at least get to read half a book before you essentially get like locked out in this completely like personal and like unique experiential way. Um which is a very silencing, it has a very profound silencing effect. Holy fucking smokes. So she's halfway through and she feels dismayed. That's pretty good, actually. To get halfway through, to get that much of the knowledge before you're systematically executed. You know, assuming you're like suicidal at the time and, you know, this is like important to you or something. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. That dismay began with my reading of Race Under Erasure, post-structuralist Afro-American literary theory. Here, Foose makes sweeping statements about African-American literary criticism without offering any sense of the body of work she draws on to make her conclusions. Well, that's great. Now you can waste all your time saying something about it, because you're the only one who's fucking noticing this. Her pronouncements about the work of black feminist critics are particularly disturbing. Foose asserts, with the exception of the recent work of Hazel Carby and Hortense Spillers, God, my teeth are doing that thing. My jaw's doing that thing where, like, my bottom jaw is, like, this close to just, like, chipping my front teeth again. With the exception of the recent work of Hazel Carby and Hortense Spillers, black feminist critics have been reluctant to renounce essentialist critical positions and humanist literary practices. Curious to know what works would lend themselves to this assessment. I was stunned to see Foose cite only essays by Barbara Christian, Joyce, and Barbara Smith. While these individuals all do valuable literary criticism, can I speak? Jesus, fuck. Just give me a sec. See, this is what I don't like this. Where's my fucking money? God, you fucking lames. 6 fucking years for something that could have been over in months. While these individuals all do valuable literary criticism, they certainly do not represent all black feminist critics, particularly literary critics. Summing up her perspectives on black feminist writing in a few paragraphs, Foose concentrates on black male literary critics Houston Baker and Henry Louis Gates, citing a significant body of their writings. It seems as though a racialized gender hierarchy is established in this chapter, wherein the writing on race by black men is deemed worthier of in-depth study than the work of black woman critics. Hey, why you playing boy ball? Well, they're women, so they, dude. I don't know, but I'd have to look. I'd really have to look. I'm vaguely interested. What is this called? If I can find this book in one Google search, we'll look. Oh my god. I'm being assaulted. I'm being assaulted right now. Check that. Yeah, check that. I'm being assaulted right now. So the book is essentially speaking. Ooh. There's this numbers game that she's playing in the text where something is against women because it leans towards not criticizing men, which is odd because it's almost as if a woman is only reading women right now. I can't find it in one, so I'm just going to continue on this little bit. Which is odd because it's almost as if a woman who only reads women is writing about something that she knows a lot about. And it just so happens that that makes her target women. Hold on. Wait a second. I hate it. It's not real, dude. It's not true. It's a narrative. Are you fucking serious? See, man, I get rage baited constantly. I don't care. I don't care. That's been my reproach. That's been my approach, is to be resigned. To just say I don't care. Okay? Now you want me to tell me? Now you want me to tell you, and you're behind this fucking book. That's what she criticizes in the first place. How much of it is the medium? I just want to know. How much of it is the medium? How deeply entrenched are we in knowledge transfer is based on this medium? I just want to know. If all these Gen Z fuckers spend all their time outside instead of inside, or maybe at the fucking library, sharing productively what they know, would things be different? If they're not going to college, why aren't they out there spreading the knowledge? They must know. If there is a group of people who has enough free time to produce something that someone will never buy, or for which or which exists for the purpose of creating subpar or inaccessible competition in order to obfuscate the existence of a monopoly. If these people, for example, just this very small sliver of people, if you will, had all the time in the world to go out and tell people what they've been told, how much of this narrative would be different? How do I convince my dog that I'm like so on the same page with her right now? She's so adamant. She wants to go outside. I want to finish this. You know, this is about me as a fucking evolved ape not being able to spend extended time with another cognitively aware creature for the purpose of enriching their day and their psyche. You know, that's the issue here. How much of this stays, motherfucker? No, I want something new. I want something different. Who the fuck is this for, huh? Maybe you should highlight it with a nice periwinkle highlighter, so I know it's some bullshit that you're saying to someone else. Oh shit, we can't talk? Why can't we talk? I don't know. Fear, I guess. What happens when I close my eyes at night? Okay. How much of it? How much of it? So we're talking, it's a literary critic. if she's talking about someone else's literary critique, there's this notion, let's think about this really. Like there's this notion that like people are always going to receive knowledge somehow, right? Maybe this part really pisses me off, so I'm just not going to stop this train of thought. Which is like, don't assault me. Don't assault me. Let me turn my neck. Don't assault me. Jesus fucking Christ. Kill yourself. How about you do that for me? Why don't you kill yourself? It's very fast, and it's very smart writing. Okay. People are always going to receive knowledge, right? And I want to speak! Jesus fucking Christ. What if, like, all the quiet places in your throat were, like, experiencing cramps, and you just really had to say something? I guess you'd sound like that. Anyways. Trying to focus on the back! Trying to focus on the back! Okay, so. Let's just say. I react violently to people assaulting me. Is that crazy? Am I crazy? Where's the fucking money? So there's this idea that people are always going to have to like, it's evolution. People are always going to have to spend time with each other to sort of transfer this knowledge of survival, its interdependence. We're always going to be the subject of like market forces, or some sort of social political force that decides whether or not we're going to have resources, right? At some point, someone is going to make the decision, and you can think like, well, what if we just go to like this like bureau or this centrally like organized thing? At some point there's going to be a minority, a plurality if you will, of people who make this decision for other people about like what it is that you think that we can just like offload to like not being like a person-to-person interaction. It's always going to be person-to-person. There's no media that's not person-to-person, as much as the illusion wants you to like believe this, right? It's always going to be person-to-person, right? So if we're talking about a serious literary critique, and we're thinking about like maybe people who have to like argue to like advocate for themselves in regards to making these decisions as a member of one of these pluralities. Someone wants to be a member of a board or a council, or maybe get a job somewhere where they like produce these things, and this is very prestigious, so they're gonna look at how many times this person's been cited, right? That's what's so important about this now. Okay, let's just say I just let me know how I'm being fooled, and I'll keep going. Okay. So at some point, I don't think you have to name them. I think this pisses me off. This entire argument pisses me off because it's just so wrapped up in this like fucking game of like lying to get your favorite guys into seats of power so that you can all finesse the system. It pisses me off so much. It's so like juridical. It's so like thy will be judged, thy will be weighed against a feather, like type shit. Like it's so ridiculous. Like it is the difference for people too. So I don't like that. I don't like that this is like the subject of this. Like what is it? There must be some essential buffer that can be woven into this critique here. I know you're gonna tell me like, oh well, it's too specific one way or another. I don't care, bell hooks. don't fool me is like the easiest one. Like that's just the thing. Like I would rather have a book that like seems to constantly repeat itself to get a point across than deal with this like bullshit, you know? It's like, oh, you get less printed. I think people end up learning more if they have this like these like fucking buffers that are just very conveniently like left out of this book. I mean, we're talking about what people will say is the entire education of a select few educators. People are going to claim this takes years or months or something, which isn't fucking true. Um it not fucking true at all. If people know something, they can spend that amount of time with someone who like wants to fucking learn it, and you know, it can take a couple months, maybe, if it depends on who you're talking to. But like for real, it's ridiculousness. It's ridiculousness. This hegemony is ridiculousness. Okay. How am I being tricked? How am I being scammed here? What is it? What do I have to say is just like so fucking cool that this person does that is going to completely derail what I'm trying to say about how people, you know, deserve you know, like these educations that recognize their essential value as a source of truth on this earth. Man, I I really think it's the part where they list the names. I think it pisses me off. I honestly think it pisses me the fuck off. Who gives a fuck? Why should I give a fuck? Why should I give a fuck? She's a woman. She just reads other women. Why should I give a fuck? It sucks. It's such a no. And you know what I don't like about what she's doing is that she's taking this easy fucking jab. She's taking this easy fucking jab and not just like crumbling the whole system right here. You know, she's taking this easy jab instead of taking the third path, the human path, and just fucking telling people like why what she's doing is bullshit. For what? Like authority? For satisfaction? No, it's print media. It's the editors. It is literally to get the book published and sold. Who cares? Her one sentence dismissal and devaluation of work by the most black her one sentence dismissal and devaluation of work by most black feminist critics raises problematic questions. Since Fuss does not wish to examine work by black feminist critics comprehensively, it is difficult to grasp the intellectual groundwork forming the basis of her critique. Her comments on black feminist critics seem like additions to a critique that did not really start off including this work in its analysis. Wow, that's one way to that's you could go in that direction, I suppose. So, and this is coming at the end of all of these axioms. I don't understand, why is that not the conclusion here? And as her reasons are not made explicit, I wonder why she needed to invoke the work of black feminist critics and why she used it to place the work of Spillers and Carby in opposition to the writing of other black feminist critics. Writing from her perspective as a British black person from a West Indian background, Carby is by no means the first or only black woman critic, as Fuss suggests, to compel us to interrogate the essentialism of traditional feminist historiography, which posits a universalizing and hegemonizing notion of global sisterhood. The same thing. It's the same thing you're doing now. It's the same thing. What do you mean? They just put the rage bait somewhere else. That's but it's not, this section isn't about the rage bait, is it? This is why I hate academia. This is why academia pisses me the fuck off. Is because these arguments are fucking stupid. and they're not for the people that they should be helping. If you're writing a book that's supposed to be about how disenfranchised people can like teach as this liberatory action, how disenfranchised teachers can teach what do you call it, as a liberatory action, like these fucking arguments, and it's like I know this from like firsthand, like having to write essays and shit like that. These arguments aren't for the people that you're trying to help, and they make it difficult to help anyone because of this like academic coding and these fucking insane people who spend all their fucking time just making other people stupid to feel better about themselves. It's hurtful, dude. Hurtful to me. I am in pain right now. And the entire context of that pain is that people like this tell me that I don't have a right to an easy life, that I was born to struggle, which is fucking stupid. It is literally a arbitrary consequence of historical conditions that has been reified over and over to justify these completely illegitimate hierarchies that exist in systems of controlling violence and material wealth. It is so fucking offensive. It is so incredibly fucking offensive to echo these concerns as your form of argument in a book about teaching people. I had my dog on the bed, and it's like, it's how are you, this is what gets sent to me. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, what's like the name of like a really renowned and celebrated author who can maybe put me in the right direction when I'm so lost in my life? Oh, I don't know. The person who contradicts himself and like basically sucks white cock to fucking go out and I don't know, say half of anything that's important, leaving you to do all the fucking heavy lifting as this individual in a fucking crisis. Fucking bullshit. Did you see this? Did you see this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Dude, how scary would a fucking Freddy Fazbear jump scare be? How scary do you think a Freddy Fazbear jump scare is? Oh my god, bro, and when I was on night 5 and he jump scared me at the very end at 4:59, I just got up and I walked away. Oh my gosh, so ridiculous. And he jump scares me at 4:57. Oh my god. Rage paint, rage paint, rage paint, rage paint, rage paint. I move faster than I can think, and my body started committing acts of violence. That could have hurt me or anyone around me. And it just happened. It just came out of my body faster than I could react or understand it. Because I'm just experiencing that much peril. I'm scared of myself. And now I have to do this. Now I have to go through this for people. Because the world is constantly in a state of dysfunction or crisis. Right now it's crisis. And this still feels like the most important thing to do. I hate being taken along by these things, dude. She's such a bitch. Fucking bitch. When people move like that, they break their arms. You know, that's truth. I feel it. I feel it here. I still feel the phantom fucking pain from that time I fell off the bed. Still have trouble sleeping from that time I almost drowned. And I'm gonna be like this the whole time because it fucking works. I see this bullshit. You don't fool me. Complain all you want about infighting. It gets nullified the moment people wake the fuck up and realize you're doing it yourself. That's why you're published. How long can I say that's why you're published? Like, what do I do when I'm reading a Medium article? Do I just say, oh, well, that's why you got views? Who cares? Why would that give them views? Why would anyone like this? Why would anyone at all like this? In a way that can be described purely through patterns of sharing and cursory text analyses. Someone is rigging the fucking game, dude. I hate this. Knowing that should be enough. Knowing that should be enough for people to, like, start engaging in the fucking banal. But it's just, it's not. It's not, it doesn't get communicated. And I'm still just feeling fucking lonely. My dog is fucking struggling right now because I have to find it within myself to now argue for someone who has ultimately betrayed me and the entire audience. This is sick. This is such a sick thing. This is the record. This is the record of life. This is the record of life. This is the record. It doesn't matter how good the person is in their life. This is the record that stands. So what are we just, is this person just going to go around and teach people everything that she does? No. People aren't gonna try. So, oh, I have to set it aside. I have to fucking set it aside. I can't believe anyone actually feels like this. I can't believe that anyone actually gets to the point where they get blackout violent, like when doing these things. Who talks like this. I can't believe you. I can't believe you would totally co-opt my struggle to avoid setting things aside. I can't believe you. I can't believe you. I can't. I experienced something literally indescribable, something that no one speaks of, that no one will ever say, that will constantly be the subject of shame and erasure. And I'm supposed to believe that when people act like me, it's justified. I live in death. My body is my demise and my vessel on this earth. Its destruction knows no bounds and will consume me. I live like this every day. And I find it within me to set these things aside. And other people will do this to me. I'm de-escalating. I'm de-escalating. I'm de-escalating. You know, it's not right to incite infighting like this. You know, people really have to be able to take these all in as unique perspectives and allow that to enter a process of synthesis. You know, it's a real shame that this book was published and not spoken, because you know it's good stuff that she writes about here. All right, I've de-escalated, because you know what? I believe what I'm saying. I've de-escalated. This cavalier treatment reminds me of the way. Jan, what is it? What is it, Jan? What? Finally, what? You're number one? You got the number one chatter crown on right now, Jan. Only you can have this. What do you have to say? It's a little disturbing that, like, chat replay isn't on by default. Because if I show the chat, then people are gonna, like, come in here and be like, I don't know, like, spam the N-word or something. But if, but I don't know if OBS enables chat replay by default. Yeah. You know, I'm reading, Jan. You see what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing? You know it. You know it. This Cavalier treatment reminds me of the way the tokenism of black women in feminist scholarship and professional encounters takes on dehumanizing forms. Black women are treated as though we are boxes of chocolates presented to individual white women for their eating pleasure, so that they can decide for themselves and others which pieces are most tasty. Ironically, even though Fuss praises the work of Carby and Spillers, it is not their work that is given extensive critical reading in this chapter. Indeed, she treats black women's subjectivity as a secondary issue. Such scholarship is permissible in an academic context that consistently marginalizes black women critics, which is bad. I am always amazed by the complete absence of references to work by black women in contemporary critical works claiming to address in an inclusive way issues of gender, race, feminism, post-colonialism, and so on. Confronting colleagues about such absences, I, along with other black women critics, am often told that they were simply unaware that such material exists, and that they are often working from their knowledge of available sources. Reading essentially speaking, I assume Diana Fuss is either unfamiliar with the growing body of work by black feminist critics, particularly literary criticism, or that she excludes that work because she considers it unimportant. Clearly, she bases her assessment on the work she knows, rooting her analysis and experience. In the concluding chapter to her book, Fuss particularly criticizes using experience in the classroom as a base from which to espouse totalizing truths. Many of the limitations she points out could be easily applied to the way experience informs not only what we read about, but all how we read about it and judgments we make. Judgments we make. 1994 was quite the year, wasn't it? It was a year where you could be like, white people are oppressing black people, I'm a black person and I can do that in the same form. Really? You get it like that? And you can write that with that amount of authority? Why don't you come into your building so we can, or into our building so we can study you from a corporate standpoint? Now it's like, hey guys, free fucking cell phone. Hey, you want to talk to people? Don't expect them to be outside. They'll be on their smart TVs and cell phones working 2 jobs. Hey guys, you ever want someone to walk around and courier your messages around to other households and have exchanges of culture that amount into social gatherings? Double income household, nuclear family. Hey guys, you ever want to live in a place because you're clearly dedicated to revivifying the culture and keeping people in an active and creative discourse that allows them to identify issues in their community that will eventually form the basis for political action? No. You wanna be in fucking the projects, or you wanna be on welfare, or maybe you wanna invest money because you spend enough of your time all day staring at numbers that get moved around like fucking missiles. You want to know how to possess property in Southeast Asia. You want to know how to buy 10 Malaysian houses in the next 5 years, because that's how long you're going to be able to make that kind of money on OnlyFans. Fucking what? Oh my fucking god. Going fucking insane. No, you can't do this anymore. You can't be Bell Hooks anymore, actually. You can't. Because you're digital! More than any other chapter in Essentially Speaking, this concluding essay is profoundly disturbing. It also undermines Afusa's previous insightful discussion of essentialism. Just as my experience of critical writing by black feminist thinkers would lead me to make different and essentially more complex assessments from those Fus makes, my response to the chapter Essentialism in the Classroom is to some extent informed by my different pedagogical experiences. Oh, because she went to fucking Stanford. She doesn't get to have to say it because she has the privilege of brevity. Calm down. Jan, you're like, I just need you to not talk in chat today. Today, you just don't talk in chat. You just watch. This chapter provided me with a text I could engage dialectically. It served as a catalyst for clarifying my thoughts on essentialism in the classroom. Fuck you too. According to Fuss, issues of essence, identity, and experience erupt in the classroom primarily because of the critical input from marginalized groups. Throughout her chapter, whenever she offers an example of individuals who use essentialist standpoints to dominate discussion, to silence others via their invocation of the authority of experience, they are members of groups who historically have been and are oppressed and exploited in this society. Fuss does not address how systems of domination already at work in the academy and the classroom silence the voices of individuals from marginalized groups, give space only when on the basis of experience it is demanded. So basically, it's upholding the status quo. It's a real fancy way to turn inaction to signal. It's a real fancy way to signal to people that inaction is now possible, because as long as this is how colonialism works. You don't let the people on the ground know what you're doing from the crown, because you want people to be confusing and abrasive while they're attacking your enemies, because it'll give your enemies less reasoning power when your second wave comes. If there's no ontological basis for peacemaking or negotiation, then the onslaught will continue instead of soldiers making peace. Let's see. And this you can use the word soldier here to mean academic or administrator, obviously.
Obviously.
Conveniently enough. Trying to use my fucking words. Fucking thing. Bush does not address how she does not suggest that the very discursive practices that allow for the assertion of the authority of experience have already been determined by politics of race, sex, and class domination. Bush does not aggressively suggest that dominant groups, men, white people, heterosexuals, perpetuate essentialism. Well, because she's built different. Because she doesn't go to the mall. She goes to, I don't know, the mall or something. Like, but I know, but I'm work. What? Look, I'm work. I know. I know. She's like, you can't use a word for her. Like, she's a dog, so she only understands like what I do in front of the screen is work. It's like the word I've given for it. So it's difficult. She looks fucking depressed and I need to take her outside, but I want to get through this in less than 3 hours ideally. 10 more pages I think after this. Um Yet the politics of essentialist exclusion as a means of asserting presence, identity, is a cultural practice that does not emerge solely from marginalized groups. And when those groups do employ essentialism as a way to dominate in institutional settings, they are often imitating paradigms for asserting a subjectivity that are part of the controlling apparatus and structures of domination. Probably because that's really reasonable and these things are happening via media, which is ultimately an extension of our senses and abilities to manipulate the world. Um, in the sensory way, like you're gonna feel at peace if you interact with it in a way that doesn't inspire you to believe that you will die. Otherwise, you're living to die, and that doesn't work for a laborer. If a laborer lives to die, they stop working or at least stop trying too hard. You might be wondering, well, if that happens, why is it? Let me offer my perspective on it. It's the machines. There are a lot of machines that can replace that kind of labor. I don't know personally why it happens, other than it feels fucking great. But I'm always looking for work. I'm always trying to get up there and do what I want to do. But maybe for someone who gets pushed back a little more than me, you'd have a different perspective on that. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it. Certainly, many white male students have brought to my classroom an insistence on the authority of experience, one that enables them to feel that anything they have to say is worth hearing. White women and this author seems to do the same thing to me, which is funny because this author is a lot like these other people that I end up meeting, probably because it's really expensive to live in California. Of course, I am talking about non-white people. That indeed their idea and experience should be the central focus of classroom discussion. I'm so hurt. I'm so hurt right now. It's unbelievable. I was mutilated at birth. What do you expect? The politics of race and gender within white supremacist patriarchy grants them this authority without their having to name the desire for it. They do not attend class and say, I think that I am superior intellectually to my classmates because I am white and male, and that my experiences are much more important than other groups. No, he's gonna come in singing Blade. He's gonna say he's a model, and he's gonna talk about how he sips that bottle, and how the music's so loud. And yet their behavior often announces this way of thinking about identity, essence, subjectivity. That's awesome, because it actually is just like legacies of like straight white men doing this. It's insane how like we're in this absolutely absurd version of Earth where like storytelling and myth making is like almost as powerful as like scientifically proven reality when it comes to organizing structures of power. Um it's insane. It's insane. White, gender, like these constructs exist in recognition of hegemony. They're culturally intelligible because not not merely because there's this like unspoken element of all pieces of media that just magically teach people to prefer one thing or another, right? Because that's something you can set aside like in its totality, right? It's that other people will come and try to find you. It's this external experience of other people granting you uh the liberty to be in their presence and to occupy seats of power uh under their awareness, that you may be subject to a certain amount of credibility or scrutiny depending on where you lie on the spectrum of white or non-white, or like gender or non-gender, or like male or female or whatever. um that's real fucked up. And if guys weren't compartmentalizing all the time, wouldn't they be feeling agitated all the time? Like, you're gonna, because I made that offhanded statement about the body mutilation. Yeah, I was talking about foreskin removal, but like, if people weren't compartmentalizing all the time, and they weren't like ignoring their pain all the time, and their body was like going through these processes that like, you know, allow them to like synthesize like these high level thoughts within themselves, like it's probably like not fair, or at least not worth repeating, this notion of like imprinting on someone this idea that there's like a sensation that they feel that's entirely defined by structures of power that seized the right to their own body before they had the ability to articulate themselves, and upon being able to articulate themselves were taught that there is like this essential human nature to their subservience to these powers that decided it was important to mutilate their bodies. It's, you can't say it's different. You really can't say that like a scar you got from like self-harming on the internet to impress your white friends is any different than like foreskin removal. Like, when we're talking about a learning setting, when we're talking about a place where people are teaching, which should really be everywhere, but simply cannot be because of how highly contested these things are. um I think it's okay to want that, but like it's ridiculous to me, absolutely ridiculous to me, this conversation that we're having right now, uh about saying that like what Bell Hooks is doing is different from like what she's describing. Like, if I catch her in the act, then am I supposed to presume that everything around me is an example? Well, that's an easy way to like to get into these sort of myths that are built around um dominating people in this like totalitarian fear-based way. If I believe that what she does is an example of what she describes, and that there's no corporate structure that enables her to do this, then I'm actually being indoctrinated in this like sort of capitalist fashion. Yeah. All right. I hooked the dog up. Let's go. Yeah, it's just like I don't like the presence of the indoctrination, but editors, publishers, they pick it up. It's taught to them. It's what they know is right. See, that's like an experience that I've tried to exclude myself from like my entire life is like being taught something and just like assuming it's right. I think I'm like the most guilty of this, like when it comes to like math, especially like just like random arithmetic and stuff like that. Like someone shows me like a new way to like do like a math problem, like a new way to add or like subtract or like do long division or whatever. I'm that guy. I am that guy who's like, well, that's not how I was taught it, and I like doubt the efficacy of it. And you know, I'm like this with gaming too. Okay, but I've always tried to like not be like this, to like not take these things for granted, or at least not feel valorized by these things that I take for granted in like an academic setting. And so it's just like that would change everything. That would change everything about what I have to say about this, wouldn't it? That'd be a real different perspective. Well, that's who's at these fucking publishing companies, and it's just like, ah, man, I'm gonna let that be like the last note on that because the book is just entrenched in it. It's you're gonna find this everywhere. You, you, the reader, the one who can see, you're the one with the responsibility to build a community out of resisting these things. It's all you can do. And it's like, it's just this sick fucking thing that people do. This sick thing that people joke about at dinner. Uh, why does Fuss's chapter ignore the subtle and overt ways essentialism is expressed from a location of privilege? Why does she primarily critique the misuses of essentialism by centering her analysis on marginalized groups? Doing so makes them the culprits for disrupting the classroom and making it an unsafe place. Is this not a conventional way the colonizer speaks to the colonized, the oppressor of the oppressed? 100% yes. But I think one smart thing I can say about this is that when people do things for society, everything that they understand becomes filtered by their understanding of what's good for society. So it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to become racist when they see this happen. It's just, you know, like it'll happen where it's a problem. Foose asserts problems often begin in the classroom when those in the know commerce only with others in the know, excluding and marginalizing those perceived to be outside the magic circle. This observation, which could certainly apply to any group, prefaces a focus on critical commentary by Edward Said that reinforces her critique of the dangers of essentialism. He appears in the text as resident third world authority, legitimating her argument. Critically, echoing Said, Foose comments, "For said it is both dangerous and misleading to base an identity politics upon rigid theories of exclusion." Sorry, there was barking and craziness. Exclusions that stipulate, for instance, only women can understand feminine experience, only Jews can understand Jewish suffering, only formerly colonial subjects can understand colonial experience. I agree with Said's critique But I reiterate that while I too critique the use of essentialism and identity politics as a strategy for exclusion or domination, I am suspicious when theories call this practice harmful as a way of suggesting that it is a strategy only marginalized groups employ. My suspicion is rooted in the awareness that a critique of essentialism that challenges only marginalized groups to interrogate their use of identity politics or an essentialist standpoint as a means of exerting coercive power leaves unquestioned the critical practices of other groups who employ the same strategies in different ways and whose exclusionary behavior may be firmly buttressed by institutionalized structures of domination that do not critique or check it. At the same time, I am concerned that critiques of identity politics not serve as the new chic way to silence students from marginal groups. I don't know both arguments, so I can't address it from that point of view. I mean, this is just like a nothing burger. There's nothing to compare this to. I'm always gonna think this is a fucking nothing burger because I'm trying to set aside my fucking biases. Like, there's nothing to compare this to. What can I say? Hey guys, it's me, a YouTube commenter who has to speak at least once substantially every 45 seconds to be protected by Creative Commons laws to call this a fair use of the work. Um and now in this rush of all this new and free money that I make, while assuaging my anxieties about corporate structure or my own capability of making money, I'm going to quickly and shittily bullshit something like I've been doing this whole time and getting away with. Oh, this is a problem. This is a problem. I mean, what's the solution? Read more black critical works. Read the other work. I won't. I really won't. I really, really won't. Because I'm just not there. Maybe eventually. But it stands that the way this fits into my understanding of what's going on has much more to do with being able to penetrate other academic works as like a reader of someone who has been taught, who practices in some form this pedagogy that's being criticized here. This is literally just like a fucking literary critique and feels so out of place in the entire book. It's just so far away from the subject matter that it's like I have no clue what bell hooks could possibly be referring to. In regards to what she's like talking about here. This is just like, this has so much more to do with like pissing me off than it does with like teaching me new material. Like, this is like evil fucking homework or something. Foos makes the point that the artificial boundary between insider and outsider necessarily contains rather than disseminates knowledge. While I share this perception, I'm disturbed that she never acknowledges that racism, sexism, classism, and class elitism shape the structure of classrooms, creating a lived reality of insider versus outsider that is predetermined, often in place before any class discussion begins. There is rarely any need for marginalized groups to bring this binary opposition into the classroom because it is usually already operating. They may simply use it in the service of their concerns. Looked at from a sympathetic standpoint, the assertion of an excluding essentialism on the part of students from marginalized groups can be a strategic response to domination and to colonization. a survival strategy that may indeed inhibit discussion even as it rescues those students from negation. Fuse argues that it is the unspoken law of the classroom not to trust those who cannot cite experience as the undisputable grounds of their knowledge. Such unwritten laws pose perhaps the most serious threat to classroom dynamics, in that they breed suspicion amongst those inside the circle and guilt amongst those outside the circle. Yet she does not discuss who makes these laws, who determines classroom dynamics. Does she perhaps assert her authority in a manner that unwittingly sets up a competitive dynamic by suggesting that the classroom belongs more to the professor than to the students, to some students more than others? That's deep. Why do I feel like I just got hit in the fucking face with like a frying pan? Oh my god. I feel like fucking congested here. Yeah, and it's like I'm trying to like move my eyes and shit. Holy shit, dude. Whoever's doing this is like the worst. Should just be fucking publicly executed. God, I'm trying to like crack my shoulder blade or something. From this incredibly limited standpoint, against all odds, our hero Bell Hooks makes a point about how the categories imposed by this critique of the classroom might translate to change directly based on the wording of her critique of the classroom. The inversion of her problems, according to these like sets of categories, has everything to do with like legislating on the basis of reinforcing race. According to Hooks, Hooks would suggest that the most productive thing that can be done here is something constructive instead of deconstructive, in which a new level of I guess like emotional and like emotional cognitive presence is demanded in the classroom from both students and teachers, and by redefining the role of teacher on the basis of them teaching to be this like recipient of like these lost souls or these confused balls of energy or whatever the fuck it is, to receive them and to allow them by very carefully interrogating their responses to questions about the curriculum, to essentially help them see, I don't know, help them self-actualize, which is to say that there's like a level of like emotional awareness that recognizes sort of like peace and equality as like the ultimate goal, and like the base, like the baseline nature of like any given person, which is a type of revolution, and being a revolution today, uh you know demands that people contribute what they and their governable bodies have determined were productive methods of synthesizing these people's thoughts and needs and distributing resources and whatnot. Um, because it doesn't. You're gonna put people in a classroom where they're constantly being told that like the world is like trying to kill them. So like you're setting people up to survive, so you're going to have people who want to be like the fucking rescuers. You're going to find people wanting to be like people who pull us up out of this and pull others out of this sort of thing, And so it's like in that sense, I think it's like it's daunting maybe for teachers to take on that level of responsibility, and who knows what's going to happen outside of the classroom. Just like Bell Hooks, that's what you're doing. Everything you're criticizing this other person for are things that you're doing. Why don't I just stop reading the book? Because she has like a nugget here and there that just reflects what I already believe? Why should I keep reading this book? Why? God, I'm in so much fucking pain. I'm being assaulted right now. I'm literally being assaulted right now. Oh my fucking God. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. I'm literally being assaulted right now. And I'm trying to focus on this fucking book. I can't read, man. I'm trying to like move my eyes. Like if you watch my earlier videos, you should be able to see that my eyes move ahead in the text as I'm processing and reading it. And it's like right now, like my eyes aren't closed voluntarily. Well, now they're open. But yeah, my eyes were not closed voluntarily there. My eyes aren't like fucking stiff for no reason, and like for some reason, like when I try to like do both, like other muscles on my fucking skull start moving around, and I start like fucking sounding different and shit like that. Like my posture gets all fucked up. So I can only assume it's like a synchronized attack from this absolutely bullshit AI IDW weapon attack bullshit fucking crisis incident, whatever the fuck. I'm being assaulted. I'm being assaulted, dude. Holy fuck. I can feel it fucking numbing my body. I don't feel good about that. Holy fucking shit, dude. Just trying to fucking read. Foos makes the point that the artificial boundary between the insider and outsider necessarily contains rather than disseminates knowledge. The insider and the outsider, it sounds like totalitarian. It's a really funny way of encapsulating societal dysfunction in a classroom setting. It's interesting even to say that there are students who this does work for and students who this doesn't work for. The problem is she's not able to find within her to bring out this critique apparently of like the presence of like external factors, like like if people can change how they view something and suddenly make that a member of the in group, what about the structure of the classroom needs to change to do that? What is it about keeping these people together that's a problem? That maybe that's the real problem here with like in-group out-group thinking, is that like when you define in-group out-group as your basis for understanding if societal progress isn't working or not, you're asking people to decide where to put things, where to put buildings, where to assign time for which people are accountable for like executing like a certain task, like becoming enriched, or like performing some factory labor, or like filling out some paperwork about what they did or something. And like when you're defining this like in-group out-group dynamic, like the first thing people say is like, we'll separate them. That suddenly leads to like this apparatus for like enforcing mythology based on image, right? Because if any two things look different, then someone who inspects these things may easily say that thing is different based on this, that, or the other, which is what race is in the first place, right? So this writer Foos is essentially like eating even more out of the hands of these people who are just like very regressive, Bell Hooks proposes that it could be found within to prepare oneself to participate in like a academy, in an academic classroom setting, which I think there is like a certain amount of truth to, especially when you think, God damn it, being fucking assaulted. I'm literally being assaulted. I'm holding my eyes because they hurt. God, I'm trying to focus and I'm getting like fucking like hit. It's like the sensation of being aware that you're being touched. God. And of course, my fucking firewall's making that noise because magnets are fucking with the ball bearings in the fan, or whatever forces that are being used to assault me are messing with ball bearings in the fan, and they have been this whole fucking time. You could have been measuring these fucking incidents with fucking ball bearings and electronic sensors this whole fucking time. But instead it takes 6 years because people are fucking stupid and think that people are just okay with them enjoying all these luxuries at their fucking expense, and that their anger and their sense of unsafety is so unjustified that they can ignore all this stuff until they turn fucking evil, because now they're gonna self-transcend for this community that they've decided excludes anyone that makes it fucking possible. God damn it. And the creaking? I was hearing the creaking in classrooms before anything else. I was hearing it on fucking buildings. I still hear it at school sometimes, dude. And no one's measuring that? No one's measuring that. And you're supposed to fucking treat me like it's cool for you to just fucking leech my shit. You haven't done anything. talking about permissibility and agency. Yeah, but like that's just the thing, is it's like permissibility from agency is ultimately like an emotional sensation. If you don't believe in like fucking barren thievery, if you don't believe in the fucking gilded age of politics and capitalism, then you know that, yeah, like agency has like this like way of acknowledging like that, like emotionally and then cognitively, right? We're permitted to do like one thing or another, right? And so like this idea that Foos gets at about these like unwritten laws um lends itself to a decent ontology, actually. I mean, that's just the thing about it, is it's like um her critique actually stands pretty well there. um Yet she does not discuss who makes these laws, who determines classroom dynamics. uh you know, bell hooks falls flat. I mean, like, yeah, of course she's not going to talk about that, because like it's not her place to talk about that, because we're not talking about changing the classroom just because you have these like inundated like emotional hangups. Because you know, at the time, especially, like the text of the world that she had access to and the text of the world that any elite had access to was basically one and the same, and it was just a trick of reading it one way or the other, where people kind of expected you to just like not have this experience without like enough money to like get around like that. um which is like still even used today, but maybe on like a, like, not in the same way, obviously, because it's like now you have like all these technological means of like conveniently, instantaneously like communicating with people, that makes it so that like these sort of like emotional like differences between people, these like cognitive differences between people that define class are no longer like sufficient for like filtering uh non-legacy from legacy. um which is like, you know, which is probably why it's only become more trash and more frivolous and more ridiculous. Because it's like, you know, why abstain? Why abstain? Why abstain? We can just stay closed off or something. And I'm being assaulted again. And I'm being fucking assaulted again. Jesus Christ. And then she narrows it down to suspicion and guilt, which is stupid. Very, very scintillating idea, but quite stupid, because you've gone and done it. You've given people a easy dipole paradigm from which to obfuscate the entirety of this systematic oppression. Anyone who's not guilty, or what is it? Anyone who doesn't feel guilt or suspicion doesn't exist and gets no help, no support, no recognition from their peers. Um, Media will be produced so that those people aren't reproduced, and any efforts for them to perpetuate any ideas or constructive movements away from these dysfunctional systems will be overwritten by this focus on this dichotomy of emotion that people want you to change from being. They want you to go from being guilty to going to being suspicious. That's sorry, my nasal cavities started closing up because I was being assaulted. Because I was being assaulted just there. And anyone else is just they don't quite fit in. And you know what? Why don't you just walk out into the wastes and see what happens? And that's we have this many agents. We have the guilt to suspicion agents. You know, because we like to see them move like that. It just doesn't hold up over time. Just doesn't hold up against technology. As a teacher, I recognize the students from marginalized groups. That students from marginalized groups enter classrooms within. Holy fuck! I'm just trying to use my goddamn eyes, and it's like making me fucking emote like a fucking Fortnite character. Jesus Christ! I'm going to kill someone. I'm gonna kill someone. Jesus! I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill whoever's behind you. It's making my tongue very itchy. Making me want to bite my own tongue. It's assaulting me. I'm being assaulted. I recognize that students from marginalized groups enter classrooms within institutions where their voices have been neither heard nor welcomed, whether these students discuss facts. Oh my god, can my eyes move? Sorry, I lost feeling in my hand, so I thwacked it to regain feeling in my hand. That's what I've been doing. As a teacher, I recognize that students from marginalized groups enter classrooms. I'm trying to talk! And I'm being fucking silenced! As a teacher, I recognize that students from marginalized groups enter classrooms within institutions where their voices have been. I'm being assaulted right now. I'm being assaulted. Where are the censors? Where are the censors? It's been 6 fucking years! People make fucking bullshit in a weekend! I'm moving! My muscles are moving involuntarily, and you're saying that's new? Whether these students discuss facts, those which any of us might know, or personal experience. Oh, here we fucking go again. Here we fucking go again. Here we fucking go again. Are people learning, or are they just talking about what happened? Well, maybe less should fucking happen to them! I don't care! My pedagogy has been shaped to respond to this reality. If I do not wish to see these students use the authority of experience as a means of asserting voice, I can circumvent this possible misuse of power. You know what? I can't. I can't right now. I can't fucking read this chapter right now. Maybe we'll come back to it. I just wanna see if she ever stops bullshitting for clout. Okay. We're gonna put this series on a pause. We're gonna pause this one. We're gonna pause this one for now. We're gonna go rage at something else. Hold on, I'm gonna set up another stream. We're gonna go rage at something else, because I just can't right now, man. I'm being assaulted. What's something like so self-centered and self-constructed that I couldn't possibly fuck it up by going through this. I could learn how to use AI. I could learn to be a prompt engineer. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.